Hi, everybody. This week we are talking about the second part of Skill of the Week. The second part for our Skill of the Week of focus and self-monitoring, another executive functioning skill. So I'd like you to take a moment and think about the exercises that you did last week, the reflections that you did. What did you learn about your own self-monitoring and focus last week? Another way to think about this is, what were the takeaways you had based on patterns and your own reflections? So just kind of refresh your memory on that. This week, we're going to be talking about actually self-monitoring in practice. So last week, we had just done a few self-monitoring exercises, but didn't really put strategies into place to correct action when we were maybe off task or kind of found ourselves not fully paying attention. So this week, we're really going to work on the application. So I like to think of really quality self-monitoring as application of behavior change tactics that produce a desired change in behavior. So people who are really strong self-monitors do this really explicitly without maybe thinking about it. Like, it becomes part of your natural kind of habits. I'm somebody who does a lot of self-script. We'll talk about that shortly. But you'll kind of find strategies that work well for you. So here's some self-monitoring strategies. So the first step in all of this is knowing when you're off task and knowing those warning signs. We talked about that last week. What are things that are in your environment, in your body, in your head that will help you identify when you're off task? Like I mentioned, I'm somebody who does a lot of self-script, which is something I know about myself that I can kind of monitor my thinking and say, like, I wasn't paying attention to that. Bring it back, like check in with myself. So the self-monitoring schedule and attention checks, that's something that you kind of like explicitly build in. I'm going to have everybody do this week. Again, that's what we did last week, but stop and check in. Some strategies for when you are, find yourself not focused, in addition to self-script, might be a thought pad. So keeping a small notepad with you when you're off topic, or if maybe you're like really concentrating on something else that's really important to you, write it down and give yourself time during a break or another time of day to check in on that and think about it. Sometimes just writing things down can be like a way of getting it out of your head, a little cathartic in that way. Additional strategies is the Pomodoro technique. I talked about this when we did time management. So you set a time for your desired work time. When the timer goes off, you take a break, recharge, and then keep that pattern. Okay, so you can work for 15 minutes, take a 5-minute break, work for 15 minutes, take a 5-minute break, or extend that time, extend that break. What I would suggest is that you don't do like 10 minutes work, 10 minutes break. It should be more dominant on the work and less on the break. Visual strategies, things that you can post around your computer or on your desk, so that if you're wandering, maybe you're somebody whose eye wanders a lot, that's a sign for you. So having things, visual strategies, is really important if you're just somebody who stares at the wall. Checklists. So sometimes we kind of like get overwhelmed with the actual work. And it's like, what am I supposed to do next? So sitting down and considering the things that you need to do for the task, like writing down the explicit steps, first, second, third, in order to complete it. This is different than a to-do list. It's actually breaking down the task that you have or the assignment that you have. Can help you. So if you get off track, you can kind of like return to the to-do list. Okay, where was I? What do I need to do next? Self-reinforcement. So plan a reward for yourself for when you've completed your priority tasks. You'll sit down, identify your priorities, and then plan your reward. Okay, I am going to, go for a run, or I'm going to watch some TV, or whatever it is that is kind of like a reward for you. So as always, we start with the problem and solution for our plan. So I want you to consider, what self-monitoring strategy do you think will work best for you and why? Really want emphasis on the why here. Why did you select it? Why do you think this will be helpful for you based on the problem? I'm going to turn over to the skill of the week and action instructions. So there's 4 steps here with associated questions. So please follow each step and answer the associated questions. So the strategy chart is all the way at the bottom, the one that was shown in the video. So what strategy will you use? Why do you think this strategy is appropriate? Similar to what I just asked you. Select the subject or course for which you'll apply this strategy. I want you to be very specific and really just focus in on one class to start before we try to generalize it and use it across classes. Pick one course that you want to use this strategy in. Why did you select the course? And then establish your plan. So based on your strategy, you may need to prep a little bit. So what do you need in order to use this strategy? Well, maybe if I picked visual cues, I need to use visual cues and prepare those and post those. Maybe if I did a self-script, I need to create my self-script. Step 4 is going to be actually doing the self-monitoring and then using the strategy when you're off task. So this is similar to what we did last week, but last week we were just kind of observing, right? Focused, yes, no, right? But if you are not focused, I want you to tap into your strategy. Go to your strategy, okay? You're gonna do that 3 times over the course of the week. And here is the list of options. If there's something else that you wanna use, let me know what that is and we can talk about how to best use that. Otherwise, you can stick to the list.